Notif- Welcome to Beyond Sight, a channel geared towards espiritismo, spiritual development, guidance, and inspirations. I hope everyone had a fantastic, marvelous Thanksgiving, enjoying friends and family, and ate very well. I sure did, yes. Food was delicious. Thank you to Mrs. Bronx 718 and Mr. Bronx 718. Um, yeah, we had a good time. So I want to give out some uh, thanks to my new subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing to Beyond Sight. I know that probably some of you are not interested on about this platform, but nevertheless, you subscribed and given me support. And I thank you so much for that. Um, Bronx 718 and Mrs. Bronx 718, Mr. Trowell 69. Thank you so much. Along with, I might get their names wrong, so I'm just going to say thank you so much. I do appreciate it. But stick around. You might hear some inspirational story that might serve you in your walk of life. So again, please like, share, do subscribe, and leave me a comment. I would love to read your comments. Whether you enjoy this content or not, it's fine. As long as you're respectful, it's great. So with that, again, I say thank you. Today I'm going to share two short stories with you, and I hope it helps you in thinking outside the box, or helps you, inspire you in any shape or form. So here we go. Okay, there was a king in an island far, far, far away, and this king was very unruly. He was very mean and selfish and me type of person. You could say he ruled with an iron fist and a foot also. So in this kingdom he had slaves, and he treated them so badly. They barely ate. They barely had clean quarters. Um, he worked them night and day. He was very bad to them. But there was one slave in the group that stood up for everyone else. And he did his work. He did the cropping, the building, whatever it was the king asked. But he had his limit. And he saw the selfishness and the unruling, to those that are trying, not trying, but building up his kingdom. So the slave would stand up to him and say, "Enough is enough. We need we need more rations, or we need better sleeping quarters." You know, and the king kept telling him no, and would beat him and send someone to beat him and throw him in a cell for days without eating or water. But the slave would come out and do his job and go back to his people and group them up and advocate, if you want to say that word. And no, we need to stand up. We're part of this land also, and it's unfair. So the king got tired of that pull and tug. So he ordered the slave to be thrown in a box, in a wooden box. And the slave was there many days, weeks went by, and he was in there. Um, so finally, they let him out, and he still was rebelling. They threw him in the box one more time, and they say, "There you'll stay until the king thinks of what he's going to do with you." So across this big kingdom, on the other side of the land, there were some villages, and they were very happy and always playing music and feasting and so on. So one of the villagers asked another villager, why are we so happy, when we don't have a king? We don't have anyone to lead us. And the villager reminded him, don't you remember? And don't you have faith? They said in our writings that we are going to receive a king. He's coming across the waters. So they kept on, with their faith and happy. And when about their days, every now and then they would come towards the edge of the water, and they would play music, play the bongos and dance and have a feast there, preparing themselves for their king. So back to the unruly king. They opened up the box where the slave was, and he was all chained up and all famished and looking horrible because he's been in that box for months. But his will was strong. He refuses to bend. And the king said, just seal up the box and throw him in the water, and let whatever's gonna happen to him happen. So they honored their king, and they threw the box in the water that had the slave in it. And the slave was almost unconscious because he haven't ate for days or had any water. So finally, he makes it across the the ocean and hits land. And it happened to be on a day where they were feasting. The villagers were feasting on the edge of the water. And one villager saw the box and said, "Oh, there's a box." Everybody ran towards it. And when they opened up the box, the slave was laying there almost unconscious. So they took him out and they cleaned him up. They garnished him with a new robe, and they placed a crown on his head. And the slave said, "What are you doing?" He says, "No, you are our king. It's said in our books that our king is coming across the waters." So everybody's celebrating. It was happy. The king was doing fantastic. He got his strength back, but he was concerned about his people on the other side of the water. So he wanted to go immediately to the other side, but the villagers said, "No, we can't do that right now. We will, but we can't do that right now because we're going to present you to a king that's coming to visit us." So this king was the other side of on the other side of the ocean, and but nobody knew that. So the king arrives, and the villagers receive him, and they do a feast, and they say, "Okay, we're going to present you to our new king." "Oh, you have a new king? I didn't know that. Um, Take me to him." So once they entered where the slave was, the new king from the village, when the king raised up his sight and saw that it was his slave, he was amazed. He said, "What are you doing here?" "Oh, that's no king. That's a slave that I threw out." And the villagers were, "No, one man's garbage is one man's treasure. And in our books, it says our king is coming across the water, and that is he." Wonderful. So the new king demanded respect and demanded his people to be free and sent to him. Yes. How wonderful is that? The other short story is a story of Orishas from Yemaya or Yemoya, some people pronounce it, and Oshun. Oshun and Yemoya are sisters in the Orisha world. So Oshun was a queen. She had her kingdom. She had gold and diamonds and pearls and rubies, and she was a beautiful woman. And in the days, she would walk towards the river and sit next to the water and look at her reflection on off the water, because she was very, very beautiful. And she would brush her hair, and she would sit there for hours admiring herself in the reflection of the water, and looking at her pearls and diamonds. And so one day there was chaos in her kingdom, and there was war. So she was getting a little frantic. So she decided to take a walk again towards the river. And the fight in her kingdom got very, very bad. But she didn't know this because she's sitting by the river, admiring herself and brushing her hair. So the people that were fighting with her kingdom took over, and they burnt everything. They stole all the jewelry and diamonds and food, and killed just about everyone in the kingdom. So when Oshun finally finished adoring herself, someone told her, "There's no kingdom. It's gone. It's advisable for you not to go back because they're looking for you." So she stood in the woods. She stood in the woods, and days went out, She had the her only one white garment, and she would take it off, and she would go wash it in the river. She lost all her jewelry, all her pearls, etc. But she tried to maintain strong, and she kept going around and around in and from the forest to the river, and she would take off her garment, take a bath, and washed her garment, which by now has turned to yellow, from white to yellow. And she washed it so many times in the river, and she was days and days and days without eating, so she was getting very weak, and her hair began to fall off, and she wasn't looking too beautiful. Her skin was very pale and frail, so she decided to sit by the river, and as she cried and cried, and those tears fell in the river, and those tears reached the ocean where Yemaya Yemoya lives. So her sister came out to find out, why is my sister crying so much. So she went towards the river and found her sister almost disintegrated. Yeah, she was so skinny, and her gown is yellow, and she barely has any hair on her head. So she's like, "Oh my goodness, sister, what happened?" So Oshun explained to Yemaya that her kingdom was taken over and burned, etc. And she is without anything to eat for months, and she lost everything. And Yemaya said, "No, you're my sister." And she came back, and she brought her some of her treasures from the ocean, and garnished her sister with pearls and diamonds and rubies and gold. And Yemaya looked at her and said, "Oh my goodness, your hair is so short, and you barely have any." And Yemaya's hair was dragging on the floor. It was beautiful. So what Yemaya did, she cut off her hair and put it on her sister. So she said, "Until your hair grows back here, my sister, I'm garnishing your head with my hair." And Yemaya was so grateful to her sister, um, that when she got back on her feet, she made a pact with her sister that as long as the world is world, she would stand strong by her sister. Isn't that wonderful? Yes. And that goes to say that with so much chaos going out in this world, whether spiritual or just the everyday living, um, we need not to, and it's easy to say that, but when we sit in our when we give company to our negative situation, um, when we give power to our negative situation, um, yeah, we don't move. We don't move. So we need not to stew in it, as I say. You know, um, there's always a way out. There's always a solution. We might not see it at the moment, you know, and maybe it might take 2 days or 3 days, you know, but sitting and doing nothing is it's you're gonna get nothing, right? But if you step up and shake it off, uh, somebody might be there with their hand open, reaching out to pull you back up. You know, that's why I say always, always um, think outside of that box. You know, don't close yourself into one way, one frame of thinking. You know, because you never know who's standing next to you. Absolutely. It might be uh, a killer, but it could be Jesus. You know, it could be a savior. You know, the person next door. Might just be able to give you that hand up with a kind word or something uh, that you could actually feel in your hands. But the point is, look up, look up. Don't look behind, look up. You know, I heard somewhere a quote that we do not know, many of us do not know what the future holds for us, but with no doubt, we know who holds our future. You know, so when we surrender to that divine, we put it in His hands. You know, we do our part, absolutely. We do our part because it's not all Him. We must uh, get up and do our part. There's another saying that goes let go and let God. You know, but you have to do your part. You know, if you got to the point where there is nothing else constructive, well thought out, good. I'm not saying anything negative, okay? Cause good things come hard and bad things come easy. We're not trying to do easy, you know. But yeah, you know, we have to get up and do our part. And then when we got to that point that we have exacerbated the our resources, then we surrender that. I did all I can. Now it's up to the divine. It's up to my guardian angel or whomever or whatever you call him. Okay. So I know I have. If I tell you many stories of my pitfalls, you'll say no, not beyond, not beyond sight. I've seen a lot of ugliness and uh much pain. But one day I looked up, and when I looked, there was two hands. There was two hands that pulled me up, and I accepted it. By the grace of God. Thank you, Lord Jesus. Yes. If if it wasn't for Him, um, I would have been still in that hole and probably deeper. But only through Him and our higher spirits. Today I'm in front of you, happy and happy and full of life. Absolutely looking forward for tomorrow. So please, keep joy in your heart and look up, because there's two hands reaching out for you. All you have to do is look up and reach. With that, I send you all my love and be blessed and be well. And as my motto goes, when you shine your light out into the world, you want it to reach far and wide. Make sure the light at home shines bright and strong. And with that, I am your host, Sandra. And luz y progreso para ti, tu espíritu. Till the next time we meet.